Chapter 3. God gives each of us a unique dream and passion. God implants a dream into each of us. That dream looks different for every person, but it is definitely there. For some, perhaps the dream is to write a novel, compete in a marathon, or work with disadvantaged kids. Deep down, we all have a dream, but sadly, most people will never act on it. The changes in the economy have shaken so many people, but we also believe it has awakened them too. People who always thought they'd have a plan B don't. They are discovering the fragility of life and that things can change. People who have spent years living for themselves, obsessed with their accumulated stuff, are realizing there is more to life than working endless hours only to wake up and do it all over again the next day. Those people have no passion or purpose to their life other than simply making money. Where's the value in that? Here's something to consider. Life is not about what you own. It's about who you are, what you do, and what contributions you make to others. Being in Africa gave us a true and new understanding of that and what it means to have a sense of community. The people we met and mingled with for those 2 weeks really rely on one another. They work together and share everything and don't just think about themselves. They instinctively put others first. Until we had children, we didn't have to think about anyone else except ourselves. We had lived in an ivory tower for years. We never had to depend on anyone if we wanted something. We always had whatever we needed without depending on our friends, neighbors, or loved ones. Think about this. When was the last time you asked a neighbor if you could borrow a cup of sugar or give him a hand cleaning out his garage or mowing his lawn? Here's an even bigger question. How many of you actually know all of your neighbors? The sense of community and selfless way of life we experienced in Africa was a bit of a culture shock. It was also an awakening for us. Just before leaving Africa, we both realized that life, as we knew it, would never be the same. On our last night in Kenya, we both sobbed as we wondered what all of the feelings we were experiencing meant. That's when we thought back to something Paul, our country host, had shared with us. His dream to become the president of Kenya so he could stop violence and corruption in Kenya. His dream got us thinking about our dream. What was our dream? We had become so caught up in life, having babies, and working hard that we had lost our vision, our focus, and yes, our dream. We knew for sure that it wasn't the way we were living now. We both looked at each other but never said a word. We knew we had the same answer. We wanted more meaning in life. Our dream was to travel, but not just wander. We wanted to travel with a purpose. Our dream was to serve God through our travels. We spent the flight home pondering our life. We envisioned traveling with our family while they are still young so we could give them unforgettable experiences and break them out of the bubble we had all been living in. We wanted to recreate what we had in Africa: purpose, joy, simplicity, and serving. We were definitely lured by the freedom we imagined traveling would bring. We also wanted to be able to see things we had never been able to see ourselves. We loved the idea of being at the ocean or in the mountains, wherever we wanted to be, and then, by serving, we would have meaning and purpose in the midst of our travels. It seemed like the perfect answer to our longings. We no longer wanted to be tied down. We wanted meaning to life, but freedom at the same time. We had a vision of having everything that was important to us right there with us. No more distractions, no yard, house, furniture. We didn't have a big vision. It was really very simple in the beginning. We just wanted to enjoy each other, travel, meet people, serve, and experience all types of people. We thought about all of this and more as we made our journey back to the States. We flew from Nairobi to Amsterdam to Boston and finally home to Atlanta. It was a long journey that ultimately was just the very start of something much, much bigger than we could embrace or comprehend. Atlanta was our home, yet once we arrived, it was pretty clear we no longer fit in. When we walked through the door of what most people would perceive as the perfect American dream, it took only the turn of the key to know for sure that this was no longer our dream. How did we get so caught up living this life we never intended? How did we end up living for all of the things we once saw as necessities, but were in actuality total luxuries? The poverty we witnessed in Africa drove that point home loud and clear. None of it was making us happy. There was a void in our life that had gone unnoticed for years. And now that we were home, it was the 10,000-pound elephant in the room we could no longer ignore. We had awoken the giant. Our dream was on the verge of coming alive. If we could free ourselves of all the things we once held so near and dear, if we could loosen the chains that held us so tightly for years, let go of all this and just walk away, maybe, just maybe, we'd be able to chase that dream down. Africa had reignited a flame that had been dormant for years, and now that it had been relit, there was no ignoring the beacon of light calling us, make that screaming at us to move toward it.